Burger King. Well, welcome everybody. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe button.
I remember in middle school when you felt self-conscious if you were the last one to go through puberty. That really went topsy-turvy, didn't it?
Sometimes the house barrage, it's too much explaining yourself and it's too apologetic.
Be sure to hit the notifications bell.
I actually do believe Israel won't just bomb countless civilians.
Be sure to tweet this out. Be sure to put this up on your Facebook.
You have to be kind to people. Be kind to the guys in this mess in the first place.
Put this up on your Reddit.
Chile is a country.
Be sure to cut and paste, a link to this to go into your favorite Facebook chat group.
It's good to see so many normal people in here.
Now, spanking isn't just my deep, dark personal secret. It's America's deep, dark secret.
I've never seen it explained so simply anywhere.
Put this on WhatsApp. Put this on Telegram. Put this on your favorite messenger app.
Hello and welcome to the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel, home to the Last JabroniCon. I'm your host, an Untitled Anarchist Seagull called Elise. How's everybody doing, chat? As I get everything set up. I thought I haven't really looked in on everybody's favorite low-quality right-wing propagandists, PragerU, in a little while, so I thought thought we might start out with a nice little short one. Bonsoir. Rome fell. Will America? I mean, it has a message of hope, and I think we need that in these tough times. Okay, here we go. Oh, it's presented by Niall Ferguson. The guy who argued that Rome fell because there is gay people. So, I mean, we know this is going to be fucking quality. 5-minute video.
Some point in 2023, the number of views of the hashtag Roman Empire on TikTok passed 1 billion.
What, all time or on a particular day? Oh, of course he did.
This social media craze originated when girlfriends began asking their boyfriends how often they thought about the Roman Empire.
I don't think that's actually how that worked. I seem to remember that being a meme.
The typical answer was supposedly every day. Are we Rome? America.
Yeah, well, no. Rome had offered much more of a contribution to culture, I think.
Historians and public intellectuals.
Well, Senior Fellow Hoover Institution. That's another just a right-wing money pile. When you hear these names like institution and shit like that, or institute, half the time, unless it's got something like for advanced physics or something right after the name, a lot of the time, all it is some bullshit right-wing think tank.
Maybe.
I mean, I remember the meme in about 2023 where it was a joke that guys were supposedly constantly thinking about the Roman Empire. I would never dare gainsay the experts over at fucking PragerU about who got hashtagged what in fucking how many times in TikTok.
Not ask this question every day, but they ask it quite frequently. In 2007, Cullen Murphy published a book with that title.
Okay, not heard of Cullen Murphy, but we're about to find out a little bit about him. I'm guessing he sucks. Oh, he's okay. He writes for The Atlantic. That generally is not a good sign. He was The Atlantic's managing editor from 1985 to 2005. So, yeah, okay, we can say he probably sucks. Okay, feudalism is our future. What made William F. Buckley so unusual? The DeLorean Owners Association strikes a pose. Will the expelled people of Chagos finally find justice? I mean, that's kind of a decent take. Yeah, I mean, that is... They would probably be okay with... Let me put it this way. They would probably be okay with being called an anti-socialist think tank. They bent their knees and kissed the sand. Oh, okay. Actually, okay, so sound takes on the Chagosians. Still asking if we are Rome. The man who sacked Rome. Remembering a man who had the thing itself. Death comes for the Gruppenführer. A cache of letters sheds light on the final days of a Nazi hold up in Italy after World War II. An unauthorized preview of the George W. Bush Presidential Library. Wow.
He revisited the subject in April 2021, drawing breathless parallels between the scenes at the Capitol the previous January 6th and the sack of Rome.
Which one has to say is a bit much, and it's really interesting how few people drew the obvious parallel. I mean, the obvious parallel, because it was like right on the heels of it, would have been the US-led coup in Bolivia that had just happened a couple of months before. It looked a whole lot like it, except the military was fully on board with it. Yeah, I mean, Niall Ferguson is actually, to my knowledge, yeah. Let me just see what his... I believe his degree is indeed in history, and he does teach at Stanford. In addition to being on a fucking... Let me see... okay, FRSC... Millbank Family Senior Fellow. God, he's from Glasgow and he has a fucking posh English accent. That kind of says everything. He has received a... Oh fucking hell. From Adolfo Ibáñez University in Chile. And he was asked by Michael Gove to... advise on the new history syllabus, which is great because Michael Gove was actually trying to find some way to glorify the First World War.
Side, Murphy wrote.
Yeah, so he is an academic historian.
Pandemic raged, recalling the waves of plague that periodically swept across the Roman Empire. This kind of historical hyperventilation has been
well, I mean, I don't know, it's not actually, it's kind of a bit much to call that hyperventilation, because the plague was raging, and it rages even now. It's killed, like, it's going on for 2 million people in this country alone. It's not very clear how many, because the U.S. really officially stopped counting back in about 2022 or so.
Current feature of the Trump era. Writing for Time in December 2018, Edward Watts asserted that the most significant danger old republics like ours face...
The U.S. is an old republic because it's had the same regime for a little over 200 years.
...is not the sudden assault of an aspiring autocrat, but the slow erosion of their cultural and institutional defenses.
Which is an interesting statement because actually, I mean, we've had the slow erosion. We had the slow erosion for like the past 30 years. This is the fucking crowning blow. This is the cherry on top of the shit cake.
Tim Elliott drew an
Michael Burns. Never heard of him.
even more direct connection in his November 2020 essay for Politico, in which he compared Donald Trump to Julius Caesar.
Really? Caesar? I would have said Caligula, but okay. Caesar, really?
Elliott argued
I'm pretty sure Caleb Muppet would be cool with that comparison, because he does say that Caesar is an adherent of Caleb Maupin thought, according to Caleb Maupin.
that the American Republic must be on its last legs because Trump, like Caesar, promises to return us to an imagined ancient glory while bulldozing democratic norms, ignoring checks on his power, and eroding political debate.
I mean...
Of course, all these authors neglect to mention the ways in which Trump is not...
He sounds more Scottish as he goes on.
...like a Roman emperor. For example...
Like, every one of them seems to have had much greater intellectual achievements and contributions to the culture than Trump.
The president is preoccupied with reducing the size of government, not...
Well, except, I mean, maybe he's preoccupied with it, whatever the fuck that means. He isn't doing it.
not something autocrats are known for.
Actually, it is something autocrats are known for. I mean, like, that's Pinochet, for example. And it's interesting that we've just started following it. I would love to see some sort of map of the, some diagram of the frequency of the use of the term autocrat in op-eds. Because I feel like that term has really come into very heavy use over the past several years. And it's like, it seems to be used to avoid actually committing to a political analysis.
And reducing the regulations on business.
Oh, you mean, like, again, Pinochet, Suharto, like, I mean, actually quite a few dictators did exactly that. Wow, I mean, he is supposed to be their good guy, and look at how fucking dead-eyed sinister he looks in this image.
He is for free speech.
No, I mean, apart from the fact that he tried to, like, deport a bunch of people for having free speech.
And against censorship.
Really? Where was that? Like, did they save this until... Wait, let me check the date. Because this is, like, these are the talking points for 11 days ago. Wow. Because these are, like, the talking points from 2016. Like, his eyeball, he doesn't have eyes, he just has holes in his head. Like, these motherfuckers are bankrolled by oil billionaires, and that you'd think they could try to come up with an image that makes him look at least a little bit kindly, or at least human.
He's against foreign wars.
Well, I mean, tell that to the people in fucking Gaza. I think they would be fascinated to hear that. Or Yemen, incidentally. Or Iran.
But Trump shouldn't take it too personally.
Oh.
The habit of comparing ancient Rome to contemporary America has been a feature of political discourse for much longer than most of us realize.
Like, this is such typical fucking PragerU, because they have not actually explained what their point is. They have somebody on here who is capable of making a cogent bullshit argument that sounds intellectual. They do, but for some reason they won't do that. Well, yeah, and also, I mean, it's just also just bullshit, because, I mean, he's gone all in on genocide. He has completely followed the Biden playbook on that. He has gone, I mean, he actually attacked Iran. Now, I do think that the whole point of that was actually to was a loss-cutting maneuver to try to claim a fake victory and get out of it because Israel was getting wrecked. It's a weird term, and I've only ever heard foreign wars used in the U.S. I've never heard about foreign wars anywhere else, Because it's like, well, what other kind of wars are you going to be talking about?
It goes back more than 200 years, indeed to the time of our republic's founding. The founders were as obsessed with Rome as anyone today, maybe even more so. The writers of the Federalist Papers,
Well, like, who cares?
Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay, all took the pen name Publius, evoking Publius Valerius Publicola, one of the Romans who, in 509 BC, overthrew the monarchy and established a republic.
Yeah, okay, and why do we care? This is so fucking... This is like... This is what I'm talking about. Like, where's the point going to be made? Okay, so... He made a really weird, anachronistic argument about how Trump is for free speech, which, like, even Trump's defenders, I haven't heard them saying that recently.
George Washington was often compared to the Roman general Lucius Quinctius Cincinnatus, who, after leading the defense of Rome against attack in 458 BC, preferred to...
Yeah, like, I mean... Okay, these things are... I mean, they're true. It is very true. The founding aristocrats of this regime were indeed obsessed with ancient Rome. And the Cincinnatus thing, yeah, roughly accurate. I know this because, having grown up in Cincinnati, you hear about Cincinnatus a little bit. You do eventually, they do tell you what the city is named after. But still, the question is, so the fuck what?
Turn to his farm rather than retain dictatorial powers. The founders took their Roman history seriously. So should we. Consider, for example, what Polybius is telling us in Book 6 of his Histories, written from around 168 BC. He sets out to show in what manner and under what kind of constitution it came about that nearly the whole world fell under the power of Rome.
Okay, I mean, I tend to think that we've found out that since there was probably more world than Romans realized, but okay, fine.
His explanation was that the Roman Republic enjoyed a mixed constitution that combined elements of monarchy, aristocracy, and democracy.
And slavery, don't forget that.
Each element balanced out the others and prevented the system sliding into tyranny, oligarchy, or anarchy.
Oh, well, I mean, unless you... I wonder if the people who were enslaved by the... Sorry. By the Romans would agree with that it was avoiding tyranny. I have a feeling they might not have.
The founders got the message. In their republic, the monarchy became the presidency, the aristocracy became the Senate, and the democracy became the House of Representatives.
And the slavery was the slavery.
Each would check the power of the other. And like Rome...
Oh, very good point. I mean, if we're serious about our ancient Romans, and I think we ought to be, then, I mean, they were calling it Palestine. If Palestine was a good name for Herodotus, then it should be a good enough name for us.
America thrived under this mixed constitutional system. So how then did the Roman Republic go wrong?
He's going to explain this in 2 minutes exactly.
The Roman historian Tacitus, writing around 116 AD, gives us our...
calling him a Roman historian is kind of interesting because actually he was... Yeah, anarchy is next to tyranny, of course it is. I mean, this is fucking PragerU, where else is it gonna be? Yeah... Tacitus, was actually, the reason he had that name, he was one of the Germanic tribes that were conquered by Roman imperialism. And he actually wrote extremely scathingly about what the Romans called peace. He said something to the effect of, you create a desolation and you call it a peace.
Answer. recurrent and bloody civil war, exemplified by the assassination of Caesar, led Rome to the brink of chaos. Caesar's adopted heir Octavian, Tacitus writes, brought a world exhausted from civil dissension under his authority with the title of first citizen and the impressive new name Augustus. By seducing the military with bonuses, the masses with grain allowances, and everybody with the pleasure of peace.
Okay, I mean, that almost sounds like, okay, that actually now, is Niall Ferguson trying to claim? This does not sound like a quote that you want to use if you're like, not trying to argue that Trump is sort of the prelude to the fall of Rome, the sequel.
Tacitus tells us Augustus gradually increased his powers, drawing to himself the functions of Senate, magistrates, and laws.
Yeah.
Tacitus was
like, is this? You're going to wait? Like, seriously, at this point, is he about to argue that actually that is what Trump is doing? That this is the fall of Rome? Like, what the fuck? Like, where is this going? Well, grain allowances would be something like rations.
Disgusted by the way they all rushed into servitude, consuls, senators, and knights. The higher the rank, the greater the hypocrisy and haste.
I mean, yeah, I like the quote. It sounds about right, actually. Yeah, of course PragerU loves tyranny. Like, I mean, they are funded by tyrants.
So, are Trump's critics right? Are we where Romans were in the late Republic?
I mean, no, we're not where they were in the late Republic because it's a couple of thousand years later and things are not exactly the same.
Maybe around 29 BC, a few years before Octavian became Princeps Senatus and Augustus? Or is the American Republic, thanks to the genius of our founders...
Wait, okay, this is called the conclusion. It doesn't sound like he's drawing one.
Incapable of mutating into an empire and a tyranny.
I mean, it's already been an empire. I mean, it's really weird to say mutating into an empire, because if you're talking about the genius of our founders, they called it an empire. They actually used the word empire to describe it. They called it an infant empire. And they talked about taking over South America. In particular, they were very keen on taking Cuba. Like, I mean, so mutating into an empire is sort of a weird thing to say in this context.
The way Rome did. I'm confident we're not Rome. And we can take comfort from the fact that Americans have been worrying about turning Roman ever since the founding. Maybe the time to stop...
Well, I mean, except that... Are you saying... that didn't... The way he put it a minute ago, it didn't sound like they were worried about becoming Roman. It seemed like they were emulating Rome. Oh, yeah, stuff might have happened after the fall of Rome. It's not clear.
Seriously worrying about, are we Rome, will be the day we stop asking ourselves that question.
Wow, that is such a nothing conclusion.
I'm Neil Ferguson, Senior Fellow at the Hoover Institution for Prager University.
Jesus. Yeah, I mean, and even before those, even before, like, California, Texas, or Montana, I mean, like, literally the entire thing is a colony. Okay. Now, I've got another one. Some more from our good friends over at PragerU. Paid protesters surge in D.C. Border walls brought back. They never went anywhere, mind. MS-13 members sues Trump.
Paid protesters.
I love how they just, they've never ever actually tried to prove that anyone was getting paid to protest. They literally have never tried it. Now they just assert it.
Are flooding the streets of D.C. after President Trump federalizes the
I want to get paid. Where do you go to get paid? I mean...
police force. Because apparently law and order is now controversial. And
well, I mean, what's controversial is this claim that crime is out of control in D.C. when they are having historic lows.
An MS-13 gang member staring down a 21-year sentence suddenly identifies as transgender and is suing the president for...
Probably not sudden, and also, I'm guessing, probably not actually an MS-13 member. Hello, Phoenix.
Not recognizing his new identity. Over at the southern border, materials for the wall are being returned to the feds after the Biden administration auctioned them off at cost.
I mean, the Biden administration also never actually never stopped building the wall. The biggest lie about the wall is that was Trump's idea. The wall was mostly already there.
And the Toronto International Film Festival pulls a documentary exposing the atrocities of October 7th. You won't believe there.
Oh, I wonder which document. Is this the fucking Sheryl Sandberg bullshit?
Excuse for the cancellation. We'll get into all of that in your quick hits right now. What's up,
Sorry
guys?
to hear
Welcome
that, Phoenix.
To the wrap up, where we break down the big.
Okay. Can PragerU afford makeup artists? Because they've made her up so that she looks like a fucking Gen AI slop.
Biggest stories of the week that you might have missed, but definitely.
The way you can tell that she is not Gen AI slop is that she has the normal number of fingers.
Need to know. I'm your host, Erin. After President Trump announced plans to federalize the Capitol's police force, a prominent crowd rental company experienced a dramatic spike in inquiries for protesters in Washington, D.C. According to Fox News, Adam Swart, the CEO of Crowds on Demand, stated that requests for services in D.C. from May to July 2024
which does not actually mean anything.
Increased roughly 400%.
Okay, and let's just remember that services like this have been used for Trump campaign events.
Compared to the same period last year. Swart said, quote, "These crowds aren't as organic as they seem on TV," adding that...
Well, that sounds like a strange thing for a guy to be saying whose entire line of business is to make fake crowds look organic at, say, Trump campaign events.
Most people at political events in D.C. receive some form of compensation. The federalization order follows the attempted carjacking of Edward Corristy.
Allegedly, this guy got his ass kicked by a 14-year-old girl.
A former Department of Government Efficiency staffer and his girlfriend on August 3rd, which resulted in him being injured. Citing the incident an overall violent crime pattern.
I mean, let's just say, if that's true, good. Like, good. Fuck that guy. He deserved it. He was involved in possibly the biggest illicit fucking data breach in history.
Trump declared the deployment of D.C. National Guard troops and federal oversight of the Metropolitan Police Department. While many on the left have called it government
Many on the left, and apparently that fucking guy. Is that Joe Scarborough?
overreach, MSNBC's Joe Scarborough admitted on air that there's widespread support for the president's decision.
I don't think that when a right-wing commentator says something in defense of somebody who he supports, he is actually admitting something. I think that's more he said the thing. Wait, it didn't happen in D.C. at all? That was in...
You know, the people that are
I had not seen that. Do you have, like, a link for that? I thought I had understood that it happened in fucking D.C.
this on privately are not like right-wing Republicans, are not MAGA people. A lot of our friends are in the media, and also Democrats that worked on Joe Biden's campaign.
Oh, well, I mean, again, so and it is true, it's worth noting that the idea of federalizing DC in order to take away what little self-government they actually have there was actually very much a Biden thing and very much a bipartisan thing. I talk about this just the other day on the news brief that I did. What's his name? Ken Karakatsanis? I think Karakatsanis is right. I'm blanking on the first name. Did a whole thread on it early this past week.
Worked on other campaigns that are saying, yeah, I'd like to feel safe walking around this city.
I mean, the fucking... this is the admission. Some fucking right-wing propagandists say that are also just lying about the crime rate in DC.
An MS-13 gang member currently...
Oh, okay, it happened in DuPont Circle. I used to hang out there a fair bit.
In prison for murder, is now demanding recognition as a woman and is suing the President of the United States. Redux magazine reported that Oscar...
Okay, never heard of Redux magazine. What is... Oh, okay, it is... Oh, it's a FASH website. I'm just looking at their Twitter feed. Yeah, this is complete bullshit. So basically, literally, not a single word of this can be taken as fact. It's just, it is literally an anti-trans hate site. They seem to be just obsessed with slagging off trans people.
Contreras Aguilar received a 21-year prison sentence for kidnapping and murdering a 14-year-old. He has now filed a lawsuit against both President Donald Trump and the Bureau of Prisons, claiming that they have, quote, refused to recognize his gender identity.
It's worth remembering that, according to established precedent going back quite a long time, you don't lose your right to healthcare in prison, though they do everything they can to violate that right. So this isn't something out of nowhere. This is just asking the courts to enforce established law. Like, admittedly, that has not actually gone very well.
Contreras Aguilar was detained in 2017, linked to the 2016 killings of 17-year-old Edvin Mendez, thought to be part of a rival gang, and 14-year-old Sergio Treminio, who Contreras Aguilar and other MS...
Like, okay, so... Assuming that all that's true, who gives a fuck? You're saying that they need healthcare and they're having to sue to get it. That seems to be the story you're saying.
Members suspected of aiding law enforcement. In 2022, he also filed a legal complaint against then Attorney General Merrick Garland, asserting that he had served as an informant during 2016 and 2017. But only a few months after the dismissal of the suit in 2024, Contreras Aguilar announced his new gender identity.
Like, what the idea is that this is such a great time for somebody in prison to be coming out as trans? Like, if somebody in prison is coming out as trans now of all fucking times...
Parts of the border wall, which were auctioned off by the Biden administration, are now expected to be returned to the current administration to support plans for border protection. In December, the Biden administration sold parts of the Arizona border wall for a fraction of their value, just a month before Trump assumed office. Critics argue this was an effort to weaken the incoming administration. Now, these materials...
I mean, probably it was just an effort to get rid of excess materials, because there's been a border wall in this area for a very long time. It would really be nice if there wasn't one, actually. It would be nice if somebody just took a fucking angle grinder and took that shit down, personally.
Will be handed back to the federal government. The Daily Wire interviewed Arizona Rep. Eli Crane, who said, quote, if it's true...
if it comes from the fucking Daily Wire.
They're purposely hamstringing an incoming president. It wouldn't be shocking. He added that the sale of the materials was, quote, a direct affront to the will of the people. The government supply auctioning site...
I mean... because if there's one thing that right-wing grifters love, it's the will of the people, right?
Of Planet, which listed the materials, states that it will expedite the return of the materials, and a third-party firm that is contracted for the construction of the border wall will take receipt of the materials over the next 90 days. The Toronto International Film Festival unexpectedly withdrew its invitation to a new film that reveals the horrors of the October 7th Hamas massacre. The reason? The festival required that the filmmakers get, quote, legal clearance from Hamas for the footage used.
Okay, let's see what that they actually said. Okay, Toronto. Looking this up because, first of all, apparently they are going to screen this propaganda documentary. This is literally just footage edited together by the Israeli government to justify the genocide. Yeah, I mean, they say possible legal issues, including clearance to use archival footage, and the fact that it's incitement to genocide. The road between us, the ultimate rescue. I haven't heard of this one. Okay. But okay, if they're using this sort of footage, it is. Wait, that's cute. That is very cute. They in this Times of Israel. It is the story of a major general in the IDF on the 7th of October. Yeah, I mean, this is just pure pro-Israel propaganda, and yeah, they were right not to screen it. That should not, in fact, under Canadian hate speech laws, I'm pretty sure, and incitement laws, really, they have a very good argument not to screen such bullshit.
In the film. Yes, legal clearance from the terrorist organization that proudly live streamed much of the massacre on October 7th.
It's funny that they keep saying that, because if they'd proudly live streamed it, you'd think that there would be actual footage of it.
To release.
I mean, like, even the picture they just use is just walking through an area. There are no people in there.
A vague statement saying, quote, conditions that were
Then I'm glad your cat is there.
Requested when the film was initially invited were not met. The film, titled The Road Between Us, The Ultimate Rescue, tells the true story of retired IDF General Noam Tibon.
Who looks like he's about to shoot the cameraman.
He plunged into intense combat, fighting terrorists and rescuing victims, all to reach his son.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to find out what... There've been so many people who have, like, tried to grift off of the idea that they were like these big fucking rescuers on the 7th of October. Particularly notorious one is a guy by the name of Rami Davidian, and they're just complete grifters.
Canada's Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs responded to the festival's decision, saying, quote, this shameful decision sends an unmistakable message. Toronto's Jewish...
I mean, this is just, this is the Canadian version of APAC.
Community, which has long played an integral role at TIFF, is no longer safe or welcome. And the pressure paid off because on Thursday, the
pathetic.
festival reversed course, saying they will now screen the documentary after all. And now it's time for quick hits. 2 more military academies joined the fold to stop promoting woke ideology, with the U.S. Military Academy at West Point and the Air Force Academy abandoning DEI in favor of merit-based principles.
Which is to say they're actually just not going to comply with the Civil Rights Act.
Teetotalers seem to be in vogue with a new Gallup poll showing
Nobody
that
can afford
54%
booze.
of Americans say they consume alcohol, a new record low. United Kingdom police reportedly fined a man 300 pounds and 6 points on his non-existent driving license because he was riding his electric skateboard without proof of insurance. Planned Parenthood, the largest provider of abortions in the country, has now closed 34 locations, with more to follow.
I mean, these are the people who love to talk about how they're big on freedom and against tyranny, but they're celebrating this.
As a result of the recently passed One Big Beautiful Bill. To catch any illegal diversions to China, U.S. authorities have started secretly embedding location trackers in select shipments of AI chips. And
Well, why would China want to use U.S. AI chips? They have they make the shit. And they actually do a better job at this shitty technology. Yeah, professionally so. And for some reason, she decided to get made up so that she looks like she's made of vinyl. Yeah, I mean, it's all just vile motherfuckers. There's only the hell we make for them.
Are Israelis and Americans about...
Speaking of awful pieces of shit, I saw in my recommendations a video from the ghouls over at JNS TV, and it looked like the title looked interesting. So it's called "Facing the Truth About Gaza: A Must for Israel's Friends." Somebody by the name of Liel Leibovitz, not a familiar name. What is he? Okay. Earned a PhD from Columbia in 2007. He's a reporter from Occupied Jaffa. Oh, yeah, and he writes at fucking Tablet Mag. Okay, so... Okay, strong, reactionary, hardline right-wing Zionist credentials right there. But I'm kind of curious what truth Israel's friends need to face about Gaza, according to these pro-Israel ghouls. Are they going to admit that actually the IDF is falling apart?
to repeat the same mistakes that led to the October 7th massacres? By that, I don't refer to the intelligence failures that allowed Hamas to achieve almost complete surprise in the attacks they led on communities in southern Israel.
No, I mean, intelligence failures is an interesting word for it, considering that what it really comes down to is that Israel simply refuses to take the military capabilities of Arabs seriously. Whether they're Palestinian, Egyptian, doesn't matter. They're extremely racist, and so they don't actually believe that anyone that they're likely to be fighting is capable of fighting, and so they don't train their asshole fighters to know how to fight.
Important as those blunders were. Rather, I'm referring to the belief that billions in aid and the alleged good intentions of foreign donors and even much of the Arab world would somehow convince the Palestinians to live in peace alongside Israel.
Like, what? Wait, what? That's the idea here? So you're saying that they should be allowed not to starve to death, maybe if it would convince them to accept occupation, but otherwise just kill them? Well, that's very enlightened of you. Well, how about it just occurs to me, just another thought. Maybe a regime that does this sort of shit to people should be dismantled?
Or at least to abide by a ceasefire that let them control an independent Palestinian state.
I mean, they're the only ones who have abided by ceasefires.
In all but name in Gaza. It was that conviction shared by virtually everybody from right to left in Israeli politics, as well as both Democratic and Republican administrations in the United States.
This guy sounds like he's doing a Wallace Shawn impression badly.
That lulled the world into the sleep that allowed Hamas to strike.
Well, I mean, also, it's worth noting, let's be serious here, that it was also the fucking strategy of the resistance was to spend a couple of years acting like they were defeated and, essentially trying to lull the occupation into a false sense of security. Like, arranging fucking guest worker programs and all sorts of bullshit like that. The whole point of it was to make it look like there was no fight in them.
And commit unspeakable atrocities.
Unspeakable because if we want to go by factual information, you can't come up with any.
And if the plan for the day after the current war in Gaza ends is to bank on the same formula of international aid and a mythical pragmatism on the part of the Palestinians...
Mythical.
Then it's possible we're about to...
I love the idea that it's the Palestinians who are not being pragmatic. Netanyahu has been talking about Greater Israel and maybe wanting to attack and occupy Jordan and Egypt now, in addition to occupying and attacking Lebanon and Syria, which, they're occupying about a fifth of Syria. They're building actual bases on Lebanese territory, though the Lebanese resistance have rejoined the battle at long last in the past week.
Repeat that mistake. Next, on Think Twice, we discuss whether the dream palaces in which so many Israelis and Americans reside when it comes to Palestinian intentions...
The dream palace...
are the real obstacle.
I didn't get a dream palace. Previously this guy has done an audio-only podcast, and I think it would probably be advisable for him to do that. He and the camera are not friends. I know the feeling. There, I thought I had a couple of good-sized jobs coming in the past several weeks, and they didn't. Wow, see, he's using this pose because it makes him look very intellectual. See, he's such a fucking scholar. Look, he puts his chin on his index finger like that.
Hello, and welcome to Think Twice. Today we have an important conversation for you with journalist and think tank scholar Lil Leibovitz about what we should be thinking about the debate over the future of Gaza.
Which debate are we talking about?
But before we start today's program...
I want to know what the polls of the debates are for these ghouls.
I want to remind you, as always, that in addition to Think Twice, there is a Jonathan Tobin Daily podcast where I share more news and analysis with you about the most significant...
Don't remind us, please.
...issues we're facing today. You can find The Daily Show under Jonathan Tobin Daily on the JNS channel, wherever you get your podcasts. And now to today's program.
His autofocus doesn't even like him. It keeps on switching off on him.
Much of the world is up in arms about the prospect that Israel might actually finish off Hamas.
Well, because that's not what it's about. In fact, there's no one seriously thinks that Israel is even trying to finish off the Qassam brigades. When these people say Hamas, they just literally mean the Palestinians.
Much like the debate in the spring of 2024 about the possibility that Israeli forces might cut off Hamas from the Egyptian border.
That is really telling because, again, they didn't cut off Hamas from the Egyptian border. They cut off all of Gaza from the Egyptian border. And the U.S. did not pause weapons shipment. Well, they paused weapons shipment. There was one shipment out of the huge number of shipments they were sending that they delayed a little bit.
Its last armed battalions in Rafah. The notion that Prime Minister...
They defeated their last armed... Rafah's battalions are still extremely active, actually. Israel's still getting the shit kicked out of them by the Rafah Brigade.
Benjamin Netanyahu will not relent in his determination.
What kind of fucking facial expression is that? like, somebody thought that was flattering? He looks like he's impersonating an orangutan.
To achieve Israel's war goals of eradicating the terrorist movement and freeing the hostages.
Which they're also not trying to do. Like, okay, so this already tells you everything. Because nobody actually seriously believes this. This is for absolute true believers. This is for people who aren't even paying attention to the state of discussion in Israel, where nobody seriously believes anymore that any of these things are actual objectives or even likely to happen.
Is seen as an intolerable escalation of the post-October 7th war. But while it's possible to question with...
He's just that first of all, how the hell did he spell Mawasi? M-O-A-S-I? And, I mean, what he's just showing, he calls that remaining Hamas strongholds. That's literally just where the population is concentrated. That's where everybody is left to live.
Whether the IDF will finally succeed in doing what it has failed to do in the last 22 months, the pushback against this strategy has far more to do with the success of the Hamas propaganda campaign, in which so many in the West have bought their lies about Israel committing genocide. Or,
I mean, did Hamas force Netanyahu to say Israel was committing genocide, though? Did, like, Hamas force Gallant to say Israel was committing genocide?
Deliberately starving Palestinians.
But, which is, again, Israel says that they're doing that. They brag about doing that. Like, this, I mean, this is really impressive, because to watch this channel and not actually realize that you are being lied to, that means you have to be interested enough to seek this out, but not interested enough to look at any fucking Israeli media.
But if this offensive does achieve its objective, it's worth asking whether the formula Netanyahu's suggestion as the one to be followed the day after the war ends is realistic.
Well, I mean, the IDF already says this fucking offensive is not going to work. They don't have the troop strength for it.
As he's made clear, he doesn't want Israel to occupy Gaza indefinitely, although...
Well, he didn't make that clear initially. I mean, it's interesting to watch how his statements have actually sort of have evolved, to use the term that politicians use when they totally change their position because they realize that that everybody was pissed off at them for their previous position, and their position sucked. See, because he wanted to occupy all of Gaza, and he told people they were going to resettle Gaza. And the IDF said, no way, you can't. There's no way that will happen. It's impossible. We cannot defeat the resistance. And so he said, okay, we're going to do Gaza City, and we're going to occupy Gaza City. And the IDF said, no, you're not listening to us. We do not have the troop strength to do that. That takes 6 divisions. We haven't got it. And he said, okay, then we're going to occupy Gaza City for a little while. So, I mean, it's not that he has just always said this. It is that his own military people keep trying to bring him somewhat closer to the military reality, which is that the IDF has failed. They are incapable of achieving the military objectives that Israel pretends to have. They simply do not have, I mean, it's absurd to talk about 6 whole divisions when they did not. It was something like half of the people they called up for the current mobilization didn't show up. Like, they have battalions in, like, Khan Yunis, for example, that were missing half of their brigades. I mean, brigades missing half of their battalions, rather. Like, this is not that he is being magnanimous and not wanting to occupy Gaza permanently or something. This is that his own military people are telling him that's not going to work.
He isn't giving up security control. What he wants is to be able to hand over authority over civilians to a non-Israeli Arab entity that isn't controlled by Hamas or the equally unacceptable.
I mean, it's worth remembering, Hamas have already said they are willing to step down to a technocratic administration. They will not, however, disarm, because why the fuck would they?
Acceptable Palestinian Authority, and let it administer the billions of reconstruction.
Wow, Mahmoud Abbas must be feeling like such a fucking prick right now. He killed his legacy. He sold everything he ever claimed to believe in to suck up to these genocidal fucks. And now Netanyahu, and now, even as he has been openly, outright complicit in the ethnic cleansing of the West Bank, doing to the bitter end what his bosses in Tel Aviv tell him to do, they're just gonna fucking discard him. Even he is too Palestinian for them. Like, wow. And even so, he won't, like, release the Keith Dayton army, the fucking auxiliary police force that he controls in the West Bank, and or just order them to start resisting. If he had any fucking self-respect at all, that's what he would do. But no, he doesn't do that. He's going to be licking that boot to the fucking end.
Funds and aid that will doubtless flow into the Strip, the theoretical moment the fighting ends. But is that really possible? Isn't this belief that the Palestinians can be bought off with aid or convinced to turn Gaza into something other than a terrorist fortress?
I mean, it was actually a couple of cities and towns and farms and stuff before you fuckers got done with it.
If not another Singapore, Dubai, or a Trump-like resort. The same premise that both Israelis and Americans of all political stripes bought into before October 7th, 2023.
I mean, this is just so fucking buck wild. None of this is true. Like, before October 7th, they were completely throttling the economy of Gaza. Nobody was trying to do anything that might allow them to be economically viable. The whole idea was to do a very slow genocide rather than a very fast genocide.
Aren't we heading down the same garden path of belief that the Palestinians are rational actors with reasonable goals?
I mean, they are, and they are.
That led to the disastrous Oslo Accords and Ariel Sharon's catastrophic decision to pull every Israeli soldier, settler, and settlement out of Gaza.
Well, I mean, the whole point of that, they try to paint this as some sort of move for peace or something, but the reality was it was a redeployment. The issue was they had a couple of thousand settlers, and they had thousands of IDF troops there just to provide security for these couple of thousand settlers living amongst 2 million Palestinians, and it didn't make sense. So they just removed the military to just turn it into a concentration camp. Put them at the perimeter instead.
Libels about genocide produced by Hamas and its sympathizers have an impact on whether the Jewish state is able to even attempt to finish this war without letting Hamas survive?
I mean, let's hope that it has an impact. We need to be figuring out every single way we can increase the likelihood that it has an impact.
To discuss this, and
because this guy is making very clear, he is giving the game away the way he uses the word Hamas, because he uses the word Hamas in context where Hamas does not belong. He's just using it to mean the Palestinians.
Much else. We're pleased to have back with us today one of the sharpest and most insightful commentators in the Jewish war. Leo Leibovitz is a senior fellow at Hudson Institute.
Oh, wow. Another one.
His work focuses on thinking about anti-Semitism.
What the fuck's with this suit?
As a national security threat. He's an editor-at-large for Tablet and the host of several of its podcasts. He is also the author or co-author of a number of books, including, most recently, How the Talmud Can Change Your Life, surprisingly modern advice from a very old book.
I will say, the Talmud's actually a kind of an interesting book, and there's some very entertaining bits in it. I do not want to even think about what bits of the Talmud a fucker like this is interested in. But I'm thinking, this guy is just annoying me far too much, so I think we're going to switch over to something else. We're going to switch over to Pod Save America, some lib shit for the last half hour.
Vitor. You can support the work we do here at Cookie
Oh, it's members only, damn it.
Change your profile picture to Clippy. Hey guys, it's Tommy Vitor. You can
damn it. Okay.
Change your profile picture to Clippy.
That's right, it's members only, that's why I didn't end up watching it the last time. Let's see. Let's see what else we've got. Why are Trump and Israel targeting Iran? Oh, an Israeli politician is warning about Zohran Mamdani. That'll be good.
In every field, Jews...
This is Rabbi David Vigler. Who is he? Chabad of Palm Beach Gardens. So, fundamentalist extremist. Oh, and he's got the fake deputy mayor of Jerusalem on there. The one who said that there are no Christians in Gaza prematurely.
Have excelled throughout history. Whether it's business, politics, entrepreneurship, innovation, every field, Jews have outranked all of their peers.
I mean, this is just anti-Semitic crap, which is not surprising coming from Zionists.
But in one department, Jews have been pathetic, extraordinarily lacking in their ability to stand up and protect themselves. Recent events have shown a large group of Jews who simply are incapable of standing up for themselves.
Okay.
Choosing rather to support those who are trying to hurt them, those who don't believe in the right of the Jewish people to exist.
Okay. This is a very interesting thing that Zionists have started doing. I mean, to a certain extent, you would experience this on usually a lot more quietly if you were like Jewish and anti-Zionist. It isn't completely new, but they've been doing it all along. But they're doing it much more openly now and just saying that actually, really, Zionism is the real problem for Zionism is the Jews, and if Zionism wants to succeed, it needs to get rid of the Jews. That is like the sort of stuff that we're starting to hear, like Melanie Phillips was saying it. And there we go.
Listen to Israel's special envoy for trade and innovation. It's Fleur Hassan Nahum. Talk about this group of Jewish people.
Let me ask you something. What does it mean to be a Jew today? Is it just bagels on Sunday and menorah on Hanukkah? Or is it
Oh, God.
knowing deep in your bones that we are a part of a story far older than America,
Or Israel.
older than the Enlightenment,
Or Zionism.
older than socialism?
Older than Zionism, too. But you're not going to say that because it gives the game away.
Liberalism, or whatever moral fashion is trending this year. Because some of you, my fellow Jews, seem to have forgotten that story. Or worse, you've betrayed it.
Oh, okay, so a Zionist... It's always cute when Zionists call anti-Zionist Jews traitors. Because if you know anything about the history of Zionism, Zionists actually have sold out European Jews every chance they get. Every time that they have to choose between Jews, the interests of Jews, and the interests of their fucking colonial project, they always choose the colonial project. They hang out with fucking Nazis even now, and it's not a new thing. They've been doing it all along. So yeah, capos, you could call them.
You organize protests against the only
Nobody can be strong all the time, and it's a lot.
Jewish state. You protest Israel's lawful attack against Iran.
There was no lawful attack against Iran. You don't get to just
bloodthirsty regime that threatens to wipe the one Jewish state off the map.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have attacked them if you didn't want them to fight back.
You shout slogans fed to you by genocidal regimes.
I mean, you're here spouting propaganda fed to you by a genocidal regime, so I don't really see where you get to criticize anyone for that.
Hamas propaganda.
Hamas. You could, she's from Gibraltar. She's from London. Let me just tell you, she is from fucking London, though she grew up in Gibraltar, another British colony.
While Jewish families bury their dead, you sign up.
Well, maybe they shouldn't be sending their family members to do genocide in Gaza if they don't want them to get blown up by the people defending people in Gaza from genocide.
Open letters defending those who cheer our slaughter. And you dare to call that solidarity?
Well, nobody's saying it's solidarity with the fucking Zionist entity. See, that's the thing. Solidarity isn't sort of a general thing. It isn't you aren't in solidarity with everything and everyone.
And what's worse, you do it as Jews.
Well, yeah, because some of us don't have a completely twisted consciousness of our history.
As a Jew, you wear your Jewish identity like a...
Well, she says, well, she's wearing that big-ass star there. And she appears on a YouTube channel that calls itself the JNS. Guess what the J stands for? Gee, I wonder if she's doing the thing of which she accuses others.
Moral badge that gives you your betrayal some kind of gravitas. But you're not the first. Let's talk about history.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to talk about Kasnareja, maybe? We're going to talk about Ben Gurion saying that if he could save half of the Jewish children, all of them, by sending them to Britain and other places, he would send them to Palestine and sacrifice half of them? Are we talking about that? Are we talking about Herzl going to, the biggest pogromchik in Russia at the time, for Pleva, and trying to make a deal with him? Let's talk about some history. I'm all for it. How about when the local Zionists in Budapest sold out Rudolf Vrba, who escaped from Auschwitz in order to tell the world what was going on there?
In ancient Judea, when the Romans ruled, Jewish elites collaborated with the empire.
No. You stay, please. What do you think you are, Fleur Hassan Nahum? She's like a posh fucking... Her parents... She's a barrister. Her parents are fucking titled. They are nobility. What is she, if not elite?
They mocked the zealots, the defenders of Masada, the fighters of freedom.
Yes, and let's just say Masada's name is now Gaza.
In the end, Jerusalem burnt and the temple fell. Their loyalty brought them nothing but destruction.
Well, yeah, I mean, and isn't it interesting because who did it fall to? Who were they fighting against at Masada? If you don't know this history, let me just update you there. That was the Roman Empire. It's funny how we've come full circle. Here I am. I'm going to argue that I'm going to do it. The U.S. is Rome. The U.S. is the Roman Empire. Jews who embraced Zionism in order to get in good with whiteness in the U.S. and U.S. imperialism, They are the ones who were ridiculing the Zealots. They're the ones who joined the fucking Empire. And now the Empire is trying to exterminate the people at Masada. So, yeah. Like, she's... like, try to pick a historical metaphor that obviously isn't absurd for a change.
In Spain, where my family comes from.
Well, I mean, ultimately perhaps, but actually more recently Britain.
1492, some converted Jews, the conversos, testified against their fellow Jews in the Inquisition. They thought that by becoming tools of the regime, they'd be spared.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it? It's so funny that she's saying these things, and she doesn't think about how, like, the ADL... I mean, maybe she does think about it when she shuts the fuck up about it. You know, the ADL are, like, just excusing Nazi salutes and all this sort of thing. Like, and sucking up to the most openly anti-Semitic fucking administration in post-war U.S. history. Like, if you're going to try to give us a Zionist history lesson, Flo, maybe try to a better one, actually.
They weren't. The fire didn't care whose side they claimed to be on.
It's funny because there was another group of bourgeois reactionary Jews who also tried to do a similar thing with Hitler. They were called the Zionists. And Joachim Prinz, who was one of them and escaped in time to the US, where he actually had time to have a think about what he and his comrades had done, wrote a whole thing about how they had clearly fucked up. They were convinced that there was some sort of common ground to be had with the Nazis because they were both ethno-nationalists who rejected liberalism and all this sort of thing. They both agreed you shouldn't be living in Germany. Clearly there was some sort of, this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. This is what the Zionists thought. And it didn't work out for them either.
Under Stalin, the Jewish section of the Communist Party, the Yevzevskia...
The what?
Stalin, the Jewish section of the Communist Party, the Yevzevskia...
Yevsektia.
Worked to dismantle Jewish life in the USSR.
You mean sort of like how Zionism has been trying to dismantle Jewish life outside of Palestine ever since its inception?
They shut down synagogues, banned Hebrew, crushed Zionist youth groups.
Oh, well, I mean, fuck. Like, Zionist youth groups were also trying to dismantle Jewish life in the Soviet Union. Because the whole thing was that Jews shouldn't be living there. They should be going to Palestine and colonizing that. Like, fuck.
All in the
like, Stalin was actually anti-Semitic in actual ways.
Name of progress. And when Stalin was done using them, he purged them too. You think you're different?
I mean, Fleur thinks she's different. Or she wouldn't be doing the exact thing she's talking about.
You're not. Today, we see Jewish students marching under From the River to the Sea banners. Jewish writers twisting language to call October 7th resistance.
Well, it literally was resistance, though. That isn't twisting language, that's just pointing out facts.
Jewish so-called intellectuals calling out Israel and the US for attacking Iran's nuclear sites.
And civilian population. God, I wish I could say something that was more useful to you, Phoenix. I'm sorry. I am, but let me just say, I am always glad to see you here. I don't know what that's worth, but...
Jewish voters casting their ballots for candidates who undermine Jewish safety?
Well, maybe that's because the Jewish voters do not actually feel that they're made unsafe by that particular candidate. I mean, I do love the fact that Zionists are having to do this now. Because for a long time, what they've had to do, they've done this thing where they pretend often with the help of very selective polling that avoids asking key questions, that all Jews are walking lockstep on Zionism. And this time they can't do that. And so they're forced to acknowledge it, and so now Zionism is coming out as actually explicitly anti-Jewish.
Yes, let's talk about that. Just this week, some Jewish voters in New York cast their ballots...
Most Jewish voters.
...for Zoran Mondani in the mayoral primaries. A man who has spread anti-Israel rhetoric, aligned himself with radical anti-Zionist groups, and dismissed Jewish concerns.
I mean... sounds pretty good so far.
As privileged whining, and yet he got your vote.
Well, maybe that's because Jews in New York actually like the anti-Zionist groups and aren't really keen on what Israel's doing to people.
Why?
Maybe because they support him?
To prove you're the one of the good ones.
Oh wow, she's doing a virtue signaling, but she's too classy to say virtue signaling.
To show you're not that kind of Jew.
Well, here's why. Wait a second. It's a secret ballot, remember? They could have just not voted for him, and said they did. They did vote for him, though. Maybe they voted for him because they actually liked him.
You handed power to someone.
I mean, not to mention, look at the two fucking alternatives. Fucking Eric Adams and Cuomo, for fuck's sake.
One who mocks your own people.
Maybe they don't think that he does.
In a time of crisis. Why? Because you've confused moral posturing.
Like, who is this for? Because she's not going to convince the people who did this. I mean, first of all, the people who did this, the Jews who support Mamdani aren't going to go and look at JNS and be like, oh, holy shit. Oh, did I fuck up? No, I mean, the people who, the people who caused Mamdani to be winning the Jewish vote in New York look at and know who Fleur is and know how full of shit she is. So this is obviously not for those people, because they would not be convinced by any of this crap. We've been hearing this sort of bullshit all our lives, and if we're anti-Zionists after all of that, it's because we stopped believing in it. We looked into it. It was crap. So this is very clearly for the people who aren't those people and also don't know any of them. This is just, rather than ask, she could just ask Jewish voters who support Mamdani. It turns out there's no shortage of them, why they supported him.
For moral clarity, you've absorbed the language of oppressors.
Wow, because if there's anyone who is the oppressor in the relationship between the United States and Palestine, it's obviously Palestine. So Palestine stopped occupying the U.S. Like, what the fuck?
And turned it inward against your own family, your people, your story.
Like, she clearly does not believe this stuff. And you can see why she doesn't work as a barrister anymore, because if this is the kind of submissions she would give...
You've adopted the cultural sickness of co-opting other people's pain.
Wait, how does that work?
Instead of standing in your own truth.
What do you mean co-opting other people's pain? Is she now arguing that Jewish solidarity with the Palestinian struggle is cultural appropriation? Because I thought she didn't actually accept that there were Palestinians, or that there was any suffering to care about.
You act like we're part of the white oppressor class, erasing centuries of persecution, exile, and...
You're literally a senior official in an occupation government who comes from aristocrats.
Genocide, just to gain credibility in those radical circles.
Wow, I mean, so wait, the idea is now that was sinister as fuck. Just to gain credibility in those radical circles. So she's saying, this is, I mean, that is a fucking anti-Semitic dog whistle, because she's actually trying to say that Jews who are supporting the Palestinian struggle don't really mean it, are just like trying to gain credibility in those circles. Like, that is fucked up. Like, I mean, I don't know why I'm acting surprised, because like she's a fucked up person. She says fucked up shit. It's her job to say fucked up shit. But wow.
Buy into the lie. The Jews have white privilege, as if we were ever handed anything.
Like, what is the grin for?
We weren't born into power.
You were born to two fucking aristocrats. For fuck's sake. She was born, yes, she was fucking born into power. She was born into money. Lots of it, actually.
We built safety where there was none. With ingenuity,
Is she talking about, wait, is she saying that the entity is a safe place for Jews to be? Because I don't think that a lot of people there would agree with you.
Resilience and relentless work. Our success didn't come from systems that favored us. It came from surviving the system.
Wow, yeah, oh god, she is one, she knows the struggle. She survived the system, from like the fucking posh private schools and the aristocratic parents to living in the fucking tax haven to getting the fucking sinecure job in the occupation administration in occupied East Jerusalem. Wow, I mean, can we just admire the fucking grit?
That tried to destroy us. And we don't wear victimhood like a badge.
Really? Is this what not wearing it like a badge is? Really?
Even when we have every right to.
This is her not wearing victimhood like a badge, by the way. And what, look these facial expressions, though. What the fuck's with these facial... Every one of them, she has this, like, little grin, like, wow, you see what I did here. Like, she can't even take this stuff seriously.
The pogroms, after exile, after the Shoah, we didn't build our identity around pain.
Really? We didn't build our identity around pain? I mean... That's not the impression that I got.
We built it around continuity.
Continuity of pain.
Around rising again. That's why there's an Israel. And that's why we still exist.
Well, I mean, we still exist despite that fucking Israel.
But you're playing with fire.
She's like, she literally pals around with neo-Nazis. Her entire political milieu is full of neo-Nazis, but we're the ones playing with fire. Like, literally, she hangs out with people who think the final solution didn't go far enough and would like another go, because they agree with Zionists that there shouldn't be Jews in the places where most Jews live. Yeah, but we're the ones playing with fire because we reject that.
Do you really think that when the mobs come, they'll pause and check your voting record?
I mean, the mobs, I would hope that they didn't, actually, because, like, she's going to be leading them.
That your open letter will protect you from being labeled a dirty Jew or Zionist scum?
Well, I mean, not being a Zionist will actually protect us from being labeled that, because we literally aren't that thing. Maybe if you don't want to be called a Zionist scumbag, you shouldn't be one?
That your kafir will act as a shield?
Maybe it's like... I always feel like people who do this are so telling on themselves. Because she can't for a moment believe that the beliefs she's trying to respond to could be held sincerely. Hola, que queme. And what that tells me, I mean, that and her fucking facial expressions throughout this fucking comic monologue tell me that she does not believe in anything. She will say whatever she gets paid to say. I don't think it didn't mean anything. I think it probably, when it comes down to it, we have setbacks, we have periods of recovery. And you hope that ultimately the better periods outnumber the worse ones, but anytime you get one, it is an improvement over not having one. So in that sense, surely it means something.
It won't. And deep down, you know it.
I mean, see, she's so confident in this because she knows the anti-Semitic hate mobs, because they work closely together with Zionists.
You're not brave. You're not radical. You're just the latest iteration of the Jew who thinks if he or she turns on their people, they'll be spared.
Well, except that the thing is, we're not being spared. I mean, if you wanted to be spared from the people who are turning on our people, you would do what Fleur here is doing. She's very spared at the moment. Like, the people that she is pretending to address, even though she has to know perfectly well that, like, nobody who fits the description she's given would actually give a shit about what she has to say, except maybe to ridicule it like I'm doing. But I mean, the people who are doing that, they're actually taking a risk. She, on the other hand, gets paid a whole lot of money in order to talk shite on the internet. I talk shite on the internet, and I don't get paid a whole lot of money. I don't get paid a whole lot of money, though I do greatly appreciate those who the support that I do receive, and for anyone who would like to join in that, here is a link where you can do it. Time for me to wrap up for tonight. Thank you to everyone who joined in. It's always good to see you. And I think the way to think about these periods of recovery and relapse and everything is cumulatively. Sometimes you have setbacks. They mean, as long as you had the good periods, just by being there means something, because it's just a better position to be in. And I imagine that may not necessarily be all that much help to you, but I hope that it's something. Have a good night, and I will be back at 11:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, right here, tomorrow.